Welcome back to Market Like It's Hot, the podcast where strategy sizzles and boring marketing gets left on red. I'm Yasmin Robles, and today we're talking about something a lot of brands get wrong because, let's be honest, showing up isn't enough anymore. Today's guest is changing that in a big way. We're joined by Asia Smith, founder and CEO of H&H Luxury Events, a Columbus-based company bringing next-level interactive experiences to the event scene. From luxury photo booths to the city's only Glambot and her newest signature sketch experience, she's helping brands create moments people actually talk about after the event is over. We're going to dive into how event experiences are evolving, why cities like Columbus need to keep up, and what it really takes to stand out in a crowded room. So, Asia, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you for that introduction. I have a company called H&H Luxury Events, named after my two sons, Hodgson and Henson. And we've been in business for about 7 years now. Started in 2019, right before the pandemic. And like you said, our promise to Columbus is to make sure that we bring the most interactive, innovative experiences to Columbus. So what does Miami, Vegas, LA, what do they have? And what are we missing, and how can we bridge that gap? So we currently have a total of 8 different photo booths or experiences to Columbus, and we've been in business 7 years. So that just shows you the dedication that we are committed to bringing new experiences and things of that nature.
You're behind some of the most interactive event experiences in Columbus. What made you realize events needed to go beyond just showing up and actually become memorable?
So I always say this phrase that Google and God gave me the idea of doing a photo booth business. I was working at the library downtown, and I was thinking, like, if I could just do like a side hustle. Of course, this is not a side hustle no more. This is full time for me. But at the time, I was like, if I could just find a side hustle that I can do kind of just halfway, just if I could do something every other weekend or something like that, I would be great. But once I started diving into photo booths and realizing that Columbus had the same type of experiences and that we were so far behind on certain things, I was like, oh yeah, this is a market. This is a place I need to tap in. This is a sweet spot for me. I am from a customer service background and marketing background as well.
Awesome. Take us back to the early days of like when you first got started after, you found out that Columbus was missing this gap. What did you see in the market that others weren't paying attention to?
I think that everybody was looking to just start the business, and they were missing just the whole, how can I say it? There's so many different unique experiences. We go every year to an expo, several different expos. There's one in particular that we go to, and we really kind of look and see what we need to bring to the city. And I think that people just jump in and start and without doing the market research, and they're missing that value, and they're missing innovation. I mean, it's 2026, and so you have to keep up with changing times. There's AI and ChatGPT, and there's so many things that we're missing. And I think people, like I said, they see something, they think it's easy, and they kind of hop in blindly without really doing that research and just making themselves different. How do you stand out? What is different and unique about your brand? What does your brand speak to you? And I think people are just completely, utterly missing that. I think people are just, what can I do to make money? What can I do to, instead of what makes me different, what separates me, what will make that client go with me versus the next person, right? There's hamburgers everywhere, McDonald's, Burger King, Wendy's, but everybody has a story and everybody has a brand, and they've lasted all these years. And so people have to know their why and what they're doing it for.
I
like
love that.
analogy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be a really spicy burger, I think, with curly sweet potato fries and mustard.
Okay, sounds like an
Um,
Arby.
yeah. No, I really like how you put that because we're marketers and there's millions of marketers out there, right? We run into
Mhm.
another marketer at every event, and it's really
Yeah,
how do you position yourself? What makes you unique? What's your story?
right.
Um, that helps you stand out. Okay, so you've introduced things like the Glambot and Signature Sketchbot to Columbus.
Mhm.
How do you decide what's worth bringing to the market versus what is just a trend?
Ooh, so in the past, good question. Love this question. In the past, I would just go and see something and I wouldn't buy right away because if it's something new on the market, right? I feel like Columbus is already behind on some certain things. So I wouldn't buy right away. But if a new company was introducing a new product, I would make them work out their kinks and maybe buy it next year. Right. You can't just hop on everything right away. But now I have something called the Grateful Gathering where I bring in all of my partnerships and partners, all my event planners that hire me, all of my corporate clients that hire me, and I feed them dinner. One, to say thank you for, hiring us and partnering with us and believing in us, right? But step two is I have always done a PowerPoint with that. And I kind of tell them, this is what I've been looking at last year, right? Because I don't buy right away. You don't buy right away. You don't be the guinea pig. But I always go to them and I kind of have them kind of pick and choose what they think we should bring to the city. And I just started that about 2 years ago.
That is such a great idea. I wrote it down
The Grateful
because it's yeah,
Gathering.
because it's you bring in people that you're obviously grateful gathering. You're grateful for them. You're saying thank you. I know another business friend who does something similar. She's an architect and she brings in her contractors, right? The
Mhm,
builders, um, and thanks them. But that's also a referral source. Ideas they can help tell you about gaps that they're seeing.
mhm.
That is amazing. Maybe we'll do a rebel gathering or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, a lot of cities are ahead when it comes to event tech.
Mhm.
What's at stake if a city like Columbus doesn't keep up?
The city is growing, and I personally have seen where other companies have hired and flew in different companies from Chicago to Texas to bring these technologies, this tech, experience tech to, different events. And so, honestly, people are missing out on money. And um, there's opportunity that's being missed out. And I think people could potentially overlook Columbus, which I think that people sometimes do. That they are surprised when they see our city. They're surprised. They think cornfields and, right? And when they see the city and how vibrant it is, it makes people look at Columbus different. I feel like sometimes Cleveland and Cincinnati get more praise because they have their professional teams and stuff of that nature there. But Columbus is the capital, and we are a thriving, beautiful city that is growing rapidly. And so I think that one, people are going to do events here in Columbus, but we're going to get overlooked, and they're going to outsource certain people to come here, and people are losing money and keeping money off the table.
I agree with you. 1,000%. Yeah, Columbus is so most of the time overlooked and always, oh,
Yeah.
it's in Ohio, so who cares?
Hmm.
But there's a lot of people here, and it's not just the cornfields. So,
Yeah.
you're not just running events; you're building experiences. From a business perspective, how do you position that value so clients understand why it's worth the investment?
I honestly, if I can be honest, I struggle with that a little bit. For example, we have the Glambot, which it's straight off the red carpet, right? It's straight off of the Oscar, the Grammys, and things of that nature. And bringing something like that to Columbus was a huge risk, right? Because we don't have that red carpet experience. When you go to a gala, usually in Columbus, you register, you might get a drink ticket, and you are on your way. And so telling the client that, hey, we're going to collect this really great content for you to use. We have to use that word content, social media. right? We got to play on that word. People love that. Where people are going to walk the red carpet. We can do interviews. Why is this gala? Why is this fundraiser important to you? And then we get that slow mo type of video that's branded. So, I just always have to explain the experience, explain why. And I'm okay with that. Again, we're taking that risk, bringing and introducing something new to the city. So we always have to overly explain or make it make sense because we are stepping in a territory that nobody has, walked through.
Yeah. What has been your most effective way of getting in front of the right clients and partnerships as you've grown?
Chambers. The
Yeah.
Columbus Chamber, Westerville Chamber, NABO, and I would say the Tri-Village Chamber are all really good chambers that I'm involved in. But networking, and I always tell people, don't be shy. Knock on the door, call, show up. Sometimes just sending a code email or doing a phone call, sometimes that might not work. Sometimes you might need to go knock on the door and say, "Hey, I'm such and such, and here goes my business card. Here goes a brochure," and that dedication. And I find myself doing that constantly because people are always either getting hired to a higher position. People that I thought I had partnerships with sometimes, venues that I thought I had partnerships with, the person either leaves or gets a different job or different position. And I'm always constantly having to make sure that those partnerships and my name is always kind of tied into those different venues.
Yeah, you said the word dedication, and it is dedication. It's people shift in their roles a lot. And so just
Mhm.
staying top of mind and communicating the new stuff that you're bringing into Columbus, and just so that you stay top of mind.
Mhm.
So, all right. So you mentioned the importance of partnerships in in growing both your business and the city. What does a good partnership actually look like in your world?
A good partnership is someone that constantly thinks of me, invites me to certain things. For example, if there is a bridal show, corporate, after hours networking event, um, someone that is, like I said, just referring me. Um, and we're just bouncing off ideas and someone that shows up, you know, someone that. Um, is if they have a vendors page, if they have um, some type of, if somebody walks in and says, "Hey, I want to do an event here," and they're like, "Hey, these are our preferred vendors. This is who we trust. This is who honestly we only use, because they have been in this space several times. They have their license insured and bonded, and so they're really persuading that client or that guest to kind of really use us."
Yeah. So, how can local businesses collaborate better to elevate Columbus as a whole instead of competing in these silos?
That's a really good question. I have a group of girls. We all have different businesses. We are in group chats with each other. We constantly share information with each other. But I think that it just being open and not afraid to ask for help or make those partnerships. I think people always feel like we're in competition, but Columbus, like you said, is so big and it's growing. And so, um, constantly just making sure that you are not walking alone, that you are asking for help, that you are seeking for help and being open minded. Going together is better than going alone. And making that time to do that, showing up for those people and not just absorbing, but also giving back. Um, like I said, just open your mouth and say that you need some help. We meet and go to coffee dates once a month. We go to networking events. We share business cards with each other. We make email connections for each other. So collaborating is very, very important.
Agreed. What do most businesses get wrong when they think about event experiences or customer engagement?
I think they miss the importance of making sure that the client, um, they're upselling the client. Are they um, using their technology appropriately? I have several different experiences that I'm only using at a 40%. I'm not even using at 100%. The technology that comes with it, like we have something called argumentative reality, which is we can have you guys behind a green screen walk on a green screen, record it, and then put you in one of our photo booths. And so when somebody at an event hits that photo booth or whatever, you're walking on the screen and posing next to that person. You're not really there, and it prints out. But I think that people are not using the technology to its fullest. And you have to have that conversation with clients because you never know. Oh well, I have a vendor or I have a sponsor with Pepsi. Maybe we can have Pepsi walk out, or maybe we can have, they're not using the technology to its fullest and giving the customer the activation that is needed at times. I think they just think photo booth, take a picture, all right, bye. But how can you really take that brand with that photo booth or that experience and really make a customer be like, wow, that was cool. I remember that. I want to post that. I want to share that. I want to, X, Y, and Z, And I think people set up the photo booth, let's take a picture, that's it. What about testimonials? Is there video that you can have testimonials and have a question or have somebody pull out the hat? Hey, Rebel marketing wants to know X, Y, and Z. That's your answer. Okay, now answer that for the 30 seconds. Can your photo booth do a 30-second testimonial? What can it do?
Yeah, and I just feel like that education piece too for those more corporate type of people you'd be working with to explain the importance of doing those things. We've had to have conversations, but mostly with social media and not with event
Yeah.
stuff. But I understand that. So, how can brands create wow moments at events without needing a massive budget or production?
So I definitely think that you have to have somewhat of a budget, right, to make the impression last or stick, right? But we have something called our Radiant Roamer, which is a really unique photo booth. It's a small impact photo booth, and we had it at NABO, the event. And the engagement with that, I think, is great. But that photo booth has, and it's one of our lower tier photo booths, right? But it still has the videography. So and it can roam, so it's handheld and we can walk around. But we can mic up people with that and ask them those 30-second questions. Hey, why do you like X, Y, and Z? Why do you do X, Y, and Z? I think making sure that branding is on point, logos are present. And having somebody that's engaging too and pulling people. But yeah, I think that the Radiant Roamer is always a great experience, but you have to have some type of a budget.
I'd like to add to that you can collect people's emails,
Oh
which
yeah.
is so yes, it does cost a little bit for your event, but then you can collect people's emails through that photo booth time that they are experiencing, and
Mhm.
then add that to your email list. So, and it can be customized to the brand. So when we brought you into Nabo, we could have our logo on there. We could have
Mhm.
Nabo's logo. So it's not just the cost. It's not like paying for the photo booth. You're actually getting all of this um, information that you can later use for your social, for email marketing. So it's
Nurturing the client.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So all of our experiences collect data. So whether that is email, phone number, whatever you need, and so that we can give that to the client. We know we do have a message, of course, saying that we're going to use that information later. But yeah, we can give that to the client, and they can use that for data collection and nurturing the client later, putting them in newsletters or whatever have you, which is really, really cool.
So, as someone constantly pushing boundaries, how do you personally stay ahead creatively without burning out or repeating those same ideas?
Yeah, so the expo, I go to an expo. Like I said, several expo. There's one expo in particular that I go, and I go for a whole week. Now, mind you, this expo is only 4 days, but I go for a whole week just to. I go from Sunday to Sunday just to reset. It's in February, right before the new year, and I meet with all of my um, photo booth owners in different cities, and we eat and we laugh and we reset and we share ideas and we reconnect. We go to classes together, we walk the showroom floor together, and it just really is a great reset, and it just helps with that creative juices and pumping you up for the year. But even then, we're always constantly checking in on each other. We're in group chats together, Facebook groups together, and we're always just bouncing ideas off of each other. And I think that is important. So, we spoke about collaboration here in the city, and I feel like sometimes that can be difficult for people because people feel like they're always in competition with somebody. Mind you, I have 7 different photo booths, but on a typical Saturday, there's probably 200 events going on. I can't service 200 events. So we can't all be in the same box, right? But I think that's for most people, that's kind of a hard pill to swallow, is to collaborate with somebody in the city. And so what's really cool about having somebody in different cities and states, there's no gatekeeping at all because we're not at all. That whole idea of we're in competition is nowhere there. So I always tell people, find like-minded people in different cities and states because the conversation is different. They're more open and willing to share different things because that's not in the back of people's minds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, before I ask you the last question, tell us a little bit how we can get a hold of you if we want a photo booth, if we just want more information, if we want the Glambot, if we just want ideas and brainstorm about what would be the best thing for our event. How can we get a hold of you?
Yeah, we have a form on our website at HNHLuxuryEvents.com where you can get a hold of us. We also have something called the Give Back Initiative where we give a nonprofit once a month a free photo booth, which is really, really cool. You can find all those things on our website. And you can also just email me directly at HNHLuxuryEvents at gmail.com or info@HNHLuxuryEvents.com. Or call me at 614-622-1148. You can find us on Instagram at H&H Luxury Events, TikTok. And so we're very we respond very fast with all of our inquiries. And I love to hop on a phone call and kind of talk through certain things too with a client as well. So
Yeah. And when we were trying to get you for that NABO event, because we were sponsoring you,
mhm.
um, you were extremely responsive. You
Thank you.
gave ideas. You hopped on a call with me while I was waiting for my kid to get their hair cut. Like it was great. And then the entire experience that everybody had, and then the actual videos, gifts, and everything that we got afterwards was great. So
Perfect. I love that.
I can attest to the communication and everything.
I appreciate that.
All right. How do you market like it's hot in an industry where everyone is trying to stand out?
I market like it's hot because I nurture the clients or clients, potential client. They might not be a client now, but doesn't mean that they won't be a client later. And I think people miss that is that communication, right? I always joke with my interns and I bring up Fashion Nova. I said, listen, you might not need that dress from Fashion Nova today, but they are going to bug you and email you 7, 8 times. So when you do need that dress, the first person that pops up in your mind is Fashion Nova. And so they might not need an event today, but they're going to have an event coming up. And we want to make sure that we're just doing a light touch with people. And I think people forget to do the light touches and just showing up and being your brand, not being afraid to show your face. For the longest time, I didn't want to show my face or people see me or be out there. And I just wanted just the brand to be out there. But people love to see the person and the brand together. And I think that sometimes people miss that as well. So that's how I do marketing is, you know, showing up and constantly just doing those little touches here and there.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, if this episode got your wheels turning on how your brand shows up in real life, not just online, that's your sign to stop settling for Forgettable. Events are one of the fastest ways to build connection, trust, and visibility, if you do them right. If you love this conversation, share it with a business owner, marketer, or event planner who needs to step up their experience game. And if you want to help by making sure your marketing actually works across the board, grab our free marketing worksheet at myrebelmarketing.com/checklist. It'll help you figure out what's working, what's not, and what to fix next. Make sure you connect with Asia and check out H&H Luxury Events to see what's possible when you stop playing small. And as always, stay strategic, stay a little spicy, and don't settle for boring. And thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. That was amazing.